So you want to retire or become financially independent with less than $1 million. Well, that's exactly what my wife and I did back in 2021, around August of 2021 to be a little bit more exact. And in this video, I want to show you how we did it, how we decided that we were financially independent enough to retire early with less than $1 million. Around $700,000 to be a little bit more precise. Right here you can see this is our numbers, approximately what we had when we chose to retire early. Around August of 2021, we had about $15,000 in cash, and we spent this down within that first year. So because we were already, more than halfway through the year, we didn't make an asset withdrawal from our stock portfolio. Instead, we spent down some of that cash so that we would have a little bit less cash, but our first withdrawal wasn't until January of 2022. And then we had a paid off house, and at the time, this is what we purchased a house for back in December of 2020. We purchased a house for $110,000. And next, our investment portfolio, which consisted of index funds at the time, which was pretty much 100% stocks at this time, and it was between about 80% US and 20% international stocks, which is currently still around that. We had about $600,000. Of course, this is all rounded numbers here, and I kind of had to look back at my past data and kind of estimate here. So it's about $600,000 of what we had, and that is what we were basically basing our withdrawals from. We're basing it only off of these index funds, right? So we're not accounting for our home, for example, the equity that was in the house, when it comes to how much we're going to be withdrawing from our investments. Instead, the house served as a way of decreasing our fixed expenses because we didn't have a mortgage at the time. Add all of those up together, and you could say that we retired early with about $725,000 of net worth, or you can look at this index fund because that's what we're basing our actual withdrawals from. And you can say that we retired with $600,000 of investments. So however you want to look at that, the bottom line is that we retired with less than $1 million. And at the time, our budget was about $2,000 per month. So in 2021, I'd say it was about $2,000 per month, and that included everything, including everything with the house, with our one car, our living expenses, our entertainment expenses, our travel expenses, and things like that. And we were age 27. I'm the older one, and my wife was 26 at the time. So that's what our numbers looked like at the time. But how did we get to this point? This was basically how we did it. We would not be where we are today if it wasn't for Frugality. And these are some of the major things that Frugality allowed us to have in order to, have that $2,000 a month budget and accumulate nearly $750,000 at the time. We didn't have a mortgage. Like I said, we paid cash for the house 2020, and it was a very low cost house. It was a little bit less than the median home value at the time for the area that we moved to. We've had the same vehicle since 2017, and we paid cash for it at the time, just over $11,000 for the Prius right here. We haven't had a different car since. We've taken care of it. We've gotten the regular maintenance that you're supposed to get on it, and it's been good to us, and we've been good to it. So we've had a $0 car payment this whole time. So that's another big deal, another big line item in the budget. And since we moved to Tennessee here, we've had to deal with no state income tax. So we don't have to worry about that line item. We don't have to worry about any kind of state income tax. And then because I have studied and learned a lot about federal income tax, and because we have kept our income relatively low, and even when we were working, we were putting a lot of money into retirement accounts, so our taxable income was very low, we don't really have to deal with a federal income tax bill as well. And then another big part of our strategy is when it comes to our fixed expenses, what I would call fixed expenses, meaning that are your required expenses, like you have to pay these every single month, it's not optional really. I would consider having my budget be less than half of fixed expenses to be a very major deal in us being able to retire early. So I think this is a good rule of thumb to strive for. If you can make your fixed expenses, meaning your required expenses, be less than half of your total spending, then I think you're in a pretty good place, frugality wise and flexibility wise. Some other things that helped contributed was only having one vehicle. We've been sharing the one vehicle since 2017. And then we've had our little side hustles. In this case, it's been YouTube videos. So we've made at least $500 a month from that. So that's definitely helped out with our budget. We've also gotten really good at getting travel rewards, opening up credit cards, getting sign-up bonuses, and utilizing those points in a very good way to travel for free or nearly free. And so I'd put the value of our travel rewards at least $500 per month as well, at least $6,000 per year in free travel or nearly free travel. So with all of that combined, I think that frugality is the primary strategy that we've used. And by combining all of these things, we've been able to live a pretty good life on a pretty low amount of total spending. And that's the major reason why we were able to become financially independent on less than $1 million in our mid-20s. Now, of course, one thing you probably want to know definitely is how we even built up that $700,000. Here are some of the major ways I think that we were able to build up $700,000 in our mid-20s. And this is kind of, in order of how it happened. Our primary strategy has always been index funds. Ever since I got my first paycheck, I knew that I wanted to keep some of it and I wanted to grow some of it. So I started learning and reading and listening to audiobooks and watching videos and all this kind of stuff. And eventually I learned about index funds. So really early on, I was very lucky enough to learn about index fund investing. And so pretty much since I was 18 years old, we've been investing in index funds. Along with that, both of us, we've been dual income since age 18. We started out with both of us working, so I definitely think that contributed to us being able to save a large portion of our income because we had a dual income. And we didn't have any children at a young age, so I think that definitely freed up a lot of our income to be able to be invested at a young age. Because of all of those, we were able to save anywhere from 60 to 75% of our income in any given year. And we had unique circumstances too. So for example, being in the military, I served a 5-year active duty term in the Marines. While the pay for it isn't particularly high, your expenses are extremely low because on-base housing is included, and so you don't have any expenses like that. Or if you do live off-base, then you get an allowance that pretty much covers 100% of that, and sometimes even more. And so the unique structure of military pay definitely allowed me to save more of my income. You have the option to do it. A lot of people don't, but I took advantage of that. For 3 years of that 5-year term, I was overseas in Japan. And when you're overseas and you're serving overseas, you get kind of like what they call per diem. So I got a little bit of extra pay every single month for that full 3 years. And so that's, more money that we could put towards our investments. And not only that, once I exited the military, I was able to use the post 9/11 GI Bill. My wife and I both immediately went to university, and so we were doing that for 3 years. And the post 9/11 GI Bill paid 100% of my tuition, and it also gave me a pretty generous living stipend because at the time I was going to school in Los Angeles County, and because Los Angeles County is a very expensive county, that was what my living expenses were based on. And so I got the high amount of monthly living expenses. And combined with that, we were able to get lots of scholarships and grants because we applied to them and we worked our butts off in order to get those. So we got a few of those, so that definitely helped as well. We also both worked while we were in college as well. So we both had part-time jobs. And so we had a decent amount of income coming in. And the good thing about the post 9/11 GI Bill income itself was that it was non-taxable. And so that's just another very unique circumstance that allowed us to get to where we are today. And this whole time we were smartly avoiding taxes. And at the time I wasn't as knowledgeable on it as I am today, but I just got lucky because I was putting a lot of money into these retirement accounts and our taxable income was extremely low. So we were paying very little in federal income taxes, only a few $100s per year. And I think above all, since we were saving a large portion of our income and it was during this time frame, pretty much between 2013 and 2021, we got really lucky with a giant economic boom in the United States when it comes to the stock market. So I just put this chart on here just for your reference here. You can see right here between 2010 and 2015, so somewhere around right here is probably when we started saving our income. And just look at that chart. It just kept shooting up and up and up. And of course, we've had some crazy dips here and there. Like here's the 2020 right here. And this is probably 2022, I think it is. And so you can just see right here, it's been pretty much up the entire time. So we've gotten very lucky with the stock market. And so I think that definitely contributed a lot to us being able to retire in 2021. So I definitely think that luck of the stock market just going up and up and up has contributed greatly to us being able to retire early in our mid-20s. And now that I've shared that with you, this leads me to the big question here. I want to know from you in the comments below. Could you retire with $700,000 today? Somewhere around $700,000, like we did in 2021. Please let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear what you have to say. And if you enjoyed watching this video, please make sure you hit the like button on this video because it really does help me out and I really do appreciate that. If you're ready to watch another video, I do have a video that I created a little while back that goes a lot more in depth on my journey to financial independence and how it came to be. So if you're interested in that video, I'm gonna put it up on the screen right after I get off the screen. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Zach from OnCashFlow.com and I hope to see you next time.